All right. Hello, everyone. We are back with episode 7 of Metuchen in the Past. And, if we waited any longer to do one of these episodes, we could probably make them a touch in the past about this actual podcast because it's been a minute. So if you're still listening, I appreciate it because we have a cool one for you today. We have a guest here, a man by the name of Jeff Josell. Jeff Josell, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, James. Appreciate it.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So Jeff is, what's really cool about Jeff is he bridges, it's we call it Metuchen in the past. It's not quite the past in this situation because Jeff has actually bridged the past to the future to the current modern Metuchen that we have today, which is really, really awesome. Jeff, I just want to go over this real quick. So you're the owner of Suburban Development?
That's correct.
Okay, excellent. And you're still the owner of it?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Very cool. You were also in Aros Development?
Aros is my partner, Anthony Rosamilia's company.
I see.
So we partner in a bunch of buildings that we own here in town. So that's Anthony's company.
Very cool. Excellent. And you're a principal in the Greenway Village LLC?
Yeah, Anthony and I own that together. We had built the apartments that are behind Woodstack.
Yes.
That was the Greenway Village project. We built those apartments. We completed the job. We rented them out. And then after a couple of years, we sold that building.
Very cool. Excellent. Yeah. No, and I'm glad you said that because, again, the reason having you on there is because you are such a contributor to, the Metuchen Downtown Alliance and the modernization of Metuchen. And, yeah, really cool to have you on. But before, we're going to get to some of those endeavors. But before that, Jeff Josell he's a multifaceted guy. He has a lot of cool stuff going on. He was a tremendous athlete years back. So we're getting in the time machine here. We're going back to the 1980s. The year is 1983. It's I don't know what song was big back then. It's some songs
Probably Michael Jackson something.
We're listening to Thriller. I don't know. Yeah, Beat It. That was big back then. So we're going back to that time because in December 2nd of 1983, if you can remember, Jeff Josell was named to the Middlesex County Athletic Conference second all-conference soccer team, and that was from Central New Jersey Home News. Do you remember that honor?
Kind of, sort of.
Very cool. And what school did you play for?
J.P. Stevens.
You did play for J.P. Stevens. It's very,
a football powerhouse at the time, not a soccer powerhouse.
Well, it's you had some pretty good games. There was one in particular. I'm going back right before Halloween. It was 1983. You scored the only goal, the game winner, against a game between J.P. Stevens and my employer, Southside Edison High, and you were the only one to score that game. Do you remember that?
No recollection, but I'm glad you brought it up. So good times back then.
Maybe it was John Josell, totally different guy. No, I'm just kidding. But he's the thing about Jeff too, which is a challenge with this, is that he's super, super, super modest, and it's going to be tough pulling some of this stuff out of him. But you had a guy in that game, Bob Dunnerworth, had 9 saves. Tony Fresnato had 4 saves for Edison High. So it was sounds like a pretty cool game. Besides the goal, you don't remember it too well, but did you have any other offense in the game? Any other shots on goal?
Couldn't tell you what happened in that game, but when you talk about Rob Donnerworth, a friend of mine growing up, it's just a great goalkeeper. Went on to be very successful in college. Won a couple national championships. He became much more serious about it at a young age than we did. Yeah. And just a really good guy that we grew up with, and really probably the best guy on the team.
Wow, a couple national championships. What school?
Division II. I want to say it was maybe West Virginia Wesleyan.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's a coach. He was a women's coach at East Carolina for quite some time. I think he's now maybe at JMU, which I think is where he started his coaching career.
Very cool. Yeah, interesting. How about that? So you went after a successful. You played all 4 years in high
3
school?
years back then.
3 years.
Yeah, it was 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Wow.
And middle school was 9th grade at Woodrow Wilson.
Wow, Woodrow Wilson. Yeah, there you go. Cool. All about the North Side schools. Like I said, I'm a South Side employee, so a little bit of a rivalry here. It's okay. And actually, another rivalry because you can't see it, but I'm wearing a Seton Hall shirt. And my friend Jeff here went to Rutgers University. When you went there, did you ever consider playing for the team at the collegiate level?
So I was recruited there as a walk-on. It was soccer that got me in. I went there. I was going to go to Maryland and play. Instead, I went to Rutgers. I kind of wasn't serious about it in my first semester, so I lasted about 3-4 weeks, and they let me go. I came back, and I played the spring season, and I did all right, but at the time, I think they were ranked 10th or 15th nationally, and
Wow.
I just didn't see me getting on the field, and I was just more interested in playing than I was in sitting and training and those things. So I just went on to play elsewhere, and then joined semi-pro league and played there until I was about 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. We're going to get to the semi-pro
yeah,
league.
that's fine.
Do you mind just putting the microphone just slightly I apologize. Just look at
My
the
first
ratings
time,
again.
so sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a loud mouth, so you could hear me across the room. And so, normal people I have to remind. So, yeah, I apologize. You graduated. I thought it was really interesting. You graduated Rutgers with a Bachelor of Arts degree. But you have all these endeavors in construction and how did that transpire? Because those aren't really related, or maybe they are related. I don't know.
Just I was an economics major, kind of by default. I was
Okay.
in a fraternity at the time, and I was like, "What do you guys major in?" Everybody's like, "Take economics; it's easy." So I took economics like everybody else.
That's my
you know,
communications.
Figured I was going to go to Wall Street, and then one of the summers, I remember I was painting, working for my friend's father, and we were commuting to New York City to paint every day. And I was like, this is misery, like getting up at like 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. And I'm still in shorts and a T-shirt. And I'm watching everybody sweating to death on the train, New Jersey Transit,
Sure.
1980s. I mean, just I hated it. And all I wanted to do was get out of there and get home and play soccer for the 6 o'clock game. So I knew it wasn't going to be for me. And then my last semester, I guess it was homecoming, ended up going out with my roommate's brother and one of his friends. And he was a real estate developer, and he graduated J.P. Stevens a couple years prior to us graduating. And we just hit it off that night. We had a good time, bunch of beers. And I was like, hey, man, how about give me an internship? He's like, sure, show up Monday. And I showed up Monday and started an internship there. And, they gave me some good advice to get started, and just kind of morphed into that. Also, the fact I never wanted to go on a job interview. So,
Wow, it's it's like I started this and I was like, because you're one of the more successful people I know, if not the most successful. And I was looking at this as like a all motivational thing, and it's like you're telling me, it's the easiest major. I didn't want to go to job.
yeah. That 2.7 that got me out of Rutgers. That'll tell you.
That's actually awesome. No, I'm just kidding. You're a workhorse and a half. So I just wanted to bring up, this was a random thing that my research yielded. It was right after you graduated. So you graduated Rutgers in 1989, according to what I was looking at. And there was something annoying, but it's so Metuchen Edison that happened to you in 1990. Do you by any chance remember June 5th, 1990? This is a silly story.
Absolutely no recollection.
No recollection? All right, so there was a fender bender that you were in because there was somebody claiming to... I'm sorry. They were signaling for a left, and then they turned right, and you guys got into like an accident. It was like a minor fender bender, and you were just like, what the heck is this?
No, where did that happen?
You know,
Here in town?
It did. It happened Mulberry Lane, and it was behind the Ford, and you just said that the Ford signaled for a left, and then it turned right.
So I grew up on Mulberry Lane, so all I'm thinking it was probably Park Ave turning into my street or out of my street. I can't imagine how it all went, but probably something like that.
Steve Miserak. I don't know. That's what it says. But I just saw it in there, and I was like, oh, interesting. I commute all the time. I drive like 5 minutes, but that I see that happen all the time. People signal right, they turn left, or they signal left and they turn. So that's just a very typical story of our
a young driver probably. And then now I'd probably be a little more defensive. Back then, probably very aggressive. So.
No, absolutely. So you moved pretty quickly with things because you graduated in 1989, and then in 1991. Had you already like building houses?
Yeah, so let me just think about it. I was done with school second semester, 88, and then I walked in 89. My mother made me go walk. I really didn't have an interest, but
Okay.
I wanted to make her happy, so I went back and walked in June. I had already been working with Dennis Seaman and Jerry Solomon right here on Main Street, and we had gotten into a deal. They kind of said, hey, if you can go get your real estate license, find deals, we'll go partners. And we got into our first deal together, and then it didn't really pan out. I ended up buying them out and then just kind of going on my own at it. So, yeah, it was a nervous time for sure. I was almost out of it as quickly as I was into it, for sure. Yeah.
That's interesting. So real estate, I didn't, okay. So I actually, I know from the research that you own a lot of properties, but I didn't realize it was like that. I thought, interesting. I have one, it's a bit of a negative story, and I don't know if you remember that, not about you, but just about the situation, and I'm wondering if you ever, if this is something you deal with on a regular or somewhat regular. So it was 1991, it was May 29th. You had built a family, you built a house for a family who moved in, and the family was of Asian descent. And apparently, somebody was not happy with that. Or
I know it clearly. That's why I say I was. Yes, I was.
Okay,
I was so close to being out of business before this ever really got going. So, the first deal that I was in with Jerry and Dennis, it just, I think I was short on money, and bills were piling up, and they said, hey, we'll buy you out, and I said, never mind, I'll buy you out. I bought them out. Of a house and a lot on Hillcrest Avenue in South Ed. I resold the house, and then we put up a new house, and we sold it to an Indian family in South Edison at the time, very different place than it is now.
Sure, yeah.
And these people bought the house from me, the first house I had ever built, and they said, hey, can we come and bless the house before we move in? I said, sure, knock yourself out. Here's the keys. Go do what you do. They showed up with their priest and a bunch of their family members, and I guess the locals of South Edison at the time weren't too appreciative of that. Maybe the first Indian family moving into their neighborhood at the time, and after that was over, they decided to spray paint the house and put all kinds of bad things all over. They broke the window. They put a hose in the back. They flooded it.
What?
It was crazy. And, this is my first house I had ever built. And I had hired a GC who was a friend of mine from high school who had told me that he was a master builder and carpenter, but he'd only built one other house prior to that. So he was no master of this either.
Yeah, yeah.
And, we had Channel 9 News showed up, and like, it was a whole big thing.
It was.
And so, I had no money, and I had, done a lot of the work myself. And so, we went and we just, changed the siding and cleaned the things, and the people ended up closing on the house anyway, and, lived there for a long time. But it was just, talk about, bad happenings on your first deal. This was, it was a crazy thing.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
That's really insane. And I looked at, so they said the damage was a little under $1,000, and not, $1,000 is a lot of money, but like, I thought to myself when I was reading, I was like, well, I guess that's not hard. It could be. But when you're so short of money, that was probably like a real, like, oh no.
Well, like $1,000 back then, like on a house, if we made $25,000,
yeah,
on the whole investment, I think the house, if I can remember correctly, was like $179 we sold it for.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Wow. And so
to buy houses in the 90s.
Yeah, every $1,000 counted, and in my first year of business, between that and trying to get onto the next project, I think I had a $30,000 loss in my first year in business. That's why I say between this happening, losing money, living at home, my mother yelling at me, go get a real job, all this other stuff, like I said, and then we're going to get on to the next one. What went wrong on the next house?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have that in there also.
Yeah,
so we'll get on to that.
There's a few things in here. Yeah, absolutely. What is it, and guys, like, you can't see right now where we're at, but like we're, again, Jeff's tremendously successful, and we're sitting in a room where we have various autographed jerseys, and really a truly beautiful house. So he's made it. So if anyone's out there struggling, like hard work and just weathering the storm is Like he's definitely a personification of that. So really awesome. Actually, do you want to go into the next house, the next deal that went down? Because I don't have explicit details on that one.
So from that one, I went on to build 2 houses on Chestnut Street in South Edison, which is close to the train station.
Okay.
And we got them up, and I was so successful at the time that I actually kept my valet parking job at a hair salon that I had during college. So yes, I know it sounds odd, but this is a high-end hair salon, and I would work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and I would make like $120.
Where was this? Wow.
This was in not Summit, but up that way. I can't think of the town. Up off 22, but Springfield.
$120 for a day is not terrible though.
Well, think about in 1992.
Yeah. Sure.
So I'm there, I'm parking cars, and I get a call, and they're like, is this Jeff Josell? You own the property, you're building a house on Chestnut Street. And I said, yeah. And they're like, well, you need to come here now. And I said, I can't, I'm at work. And they're like, well, I thought you were a builder. And I said, well, I am, but I didn't want to tell them I was valet parking because a little embarrassing. They were maybe like 23, 24 at the time, whenever it was. And they're like, well, someone set the house on fire.
Oh.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I mean, I'm barely know how to build houses as it is. I'm still working with my same friend. So now we're on house 2 and 3 together, that we did the first one together.
Wow.
And so it ended up being that the fire chief's son, who was volunteering at the time for the Edison Fire Department, had gone around and set a bunch of houses and businesses on fire. And they didn't know it at the time, but he eventually got caught. And so now I have a house
Fire chief's son?
Yes.
Wow.
So they put gas up and down the stairs and just lit it up and, went up straight up the middle of the house. So the house was sold, and, obviously the people had the opportunity to back out of the deal. And I was like, please don't back out of the deal. I didn't have the money to finish. I needed insurance money. It took time. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to order parts and windows and find people to do all this work. It was really just a crazy, crazy thing, but they stuck with me. And, it probably took an extra 9 months to get it done, but they ended up moving into the house. And then just talk about full circle. My mother was at pottery class like 4 weeks ago, and she tells me a story about this family, and they think so highly of me and all this other stuff. And it was the lady. They still live in the house. They lived in the house for 30 years. They're happy as could be.
Wow.
And she says, I have memories of your son. And, we're just so happy. It was such a great place to raise our family. So, it was nice to hear that, because you don't know, after we sell houses, sometimes you don't see these people, ever again.
Yeah.
And my mom just told me that story a couple of weeks ago. And because she's like, you built a house for somebody on Chestnut Street. I'm like, I've never built on Chestnut Street. I forgot about Chestnut Street in Edison because I'm always thinking Metuchen.
Yeah, sure.
And it was that happened probably, like I said, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
That is awesome. Yeah, talk about that full circle.
So just another way that like everything was against me. Everywhere I went, it was like, you need to fail, you need to fail, you need to fail. And I just, I wasn't going to. I just kept going. It just wasn't there. That's
amazing. Because, yeah, absolutely. Any one of those things, you literally could have just been like, nah, this is.
Yeah, pack it in. This is not for me.
Yeah. That's crazy. One thing is interesting. It's like, so you say the fire chief's son was setting things ablaze, and it's like ironic. Like, I feel like I have a friend who's a psychologist, and their family members are extremely challenged psychologically. They have a lot of issues. I'm a speech pathologist. My son has a lot of speech issues. Weird. It's just weird that it like.
I don't know where it came from, but they did eventually catch him after the 6th or 7th time, and it was in the news and everything else. But it was just for the people and for me, it was a big learning experience. And like I said, just tough to handle when you didn't have any money and you just all on borrowed money and just trying to make things happen, and everything just not working out the way it's supposed to work out.
How, personal question, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. How far, at your worst when you were struggling, how far into debt did you go with a business if you had to?
So it wasn't really debt. I started the business, I was lucky enough that my parents were both only children, but my mother's aunt, I guess, looked at us like grandchildren. So when she passed away, she left me $20,000, which my dad turned into 40 from the time I was 10 till the time I was 20.
Very cool.
And so I used that to start the business, to buy my first lot, because you could buy lots back then at like 30, 40,000.
Yeah.
And then I want to say that my dad co-signed a loan at the bank for me to finance the 100,000 in construction. And then I think on the second and third house, same kind of thing. And then I finally got into like private financing through a friend of mine's father, where, like this, again, we're talking like early 90s. So I built my first house. My mortgage rate was 13.
Wow.
I was borrowing at 18%.
Okay.
It was, but, I couldn't get money for multiple houses, and I didn't want to put my dad in a situation where he's, on the line, because I'm sure they weren't sure I was going to be, make it either.
Seriously?
But he was nice enough to, to back me, to get me the loans on the bank and everything else. And so like I said, it was negative 30,000 year one. And then, from there it just grew and just kept reinvesting. And I remember my father saying to me, probably when I was 30 something years old, he's like, when do you ever see money? And I said, I don't know. I'll let you know when it happens, because just had continually reinvesting. Yeah.
So you were in your 30s and it was still like touch and go? Like it was.
Well, no, I mean, I had a bigger job that I was involved in. So the guy, his name was Wayne Parisi. Unfortunately, he passed away. He had lupus, and he passed away a couple of years ago, before he was 60. But he and I partnered up with our excavators for a larger job off of Tingley Lane, 15 houses. So that was probably right around the time I got married, right around 30, right around the time I built our first house for Michelle and I over on Myrtle Avenue. And so, we started to, had a mortgage and everything else, but, I was moved from the house I lived in with my friends, to real grown-up life, I guess.
Yeah,
and so,
sure.
Yeah, but I would say, that job off of Tingley was the first taste of, making, some money where I got to put it away and not have to, invest every single dollar, still have, 10 or 20,000 in the bank at the time.
Yeah,
so,
very cool.
Yeah.
No, that's super interesting. Super interesting. So through the trials and tribulations, I did want to touch on something that you had mentioned, semi-professional soccer. There was a team, the Metuchen Spirit. Do you remember this team?
No, sounds like a summer league team to me.
Wow.
Don't recall that one at all.
All right,
No.
You're right. Won the summer championship. Middlesex International Soccer League, 3-0 victory over the Middlesex County Caledonians. That doesn't ring a bell? St. Joe's?
I played that. So that sounds like the league that Spencer Rockman ran. Spencer, if you know him, is like the founding father of soccer in Metuchen Edison. The fields in Edison are named after him.
Okay.
He's the guy that founded Metuchen Travel Soccer Club, Metuchen Edison Travel Soccer Club. Just the greatest guy, a great mentor my whole life. Still in touch with him, love him. And so he used to run a Tuesday, Thursday league for all the college kids and whoever, post-college kids. And we all played down there every Tuesday, Thursday. So that sounds like the summer league team.
It looked, but it looked, so you had a goaltender from Rutgers, Tony Faticone?
Vaguely remember.
Yeah.
I mean, no, believe me, it was all college kids. We were all college players. It was a great league. There were, it was just a ton of fun. It was tons of fun to come home every summer. I was always here, but I'm just saying, everybody was around to play. When we were in college, we'd all come home and play. Post-college, I played some of the guys I was playing on a semi-pro team. I brought them up to play with me here. It was just great. We played almost every night when we were younger. It was awesome.
That is really, really
Body
cool.
couldn't handle that now.
Yeah,
so.
I own. You are a machine. I should have mentioned earlier. If people listening probably will know this if they know you, but Jeff Josell introduced me to the 30 for 30. He is a warrior. The 30 for 30 is 30 days of 30 minutes of cardio. And it happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I remember the first year he introduced me to it, I lasted 2 days, I think. And then now it's like I can't live without it. So
I don't recall. I think you made everyone. I don't remember you dropping from any of them.
I dropped and you stuck with me, man. So thank you for not giving up on me.
Yeah, good fun every year, Thanksgiving to Christmas.
The most wonderful time of the year. So
that's what we call it.
If you're not involved in this, you're missing out on the season. So for sure. Moving ahead, so I'm going back to 2002. I thought this was a cool story, and I don't know if you remember it. Do you remember your project that happened with Temple Emmanuel? It was on James Street.
Yeah, that was, like I said, a lot of challenges along the way. So this was one that we were buying property behind the temple, and we thought, hey, we're just going to finish this dead end street. I think it was Adams Street into a cul-de-sac and just put 4 houses. And the neighborhood showed up screaming and yelling, "We don't want houses here. You're going to ruin our neighborhood. You're going to do this. You're going to do that."
Yes.
And my lawyer stands up and he just starts reading all the things that are permitted. And it was, medical office, this crazy asylums. Like, they're just saying crazy stuff at the meeting. So the people would just say, "Oh, houses isn't so bad. Let's go with it."
Right.
And they never relented. And so we said, "Okay, and then we'll come back and we'll build you a medical office building." And they're like, "Don't threaten us, And so we built a medical office building. Like, I think it took us about, maybe 3, 4, 5 years from the time we started to the time we got that building going and then up. And, we held that building for probably 10, 12 years, and it did really well in the beginning and then not so well towards the end. Kind of felt that Hackensack might have been holding their doctors back from us, but they ended up buying the building from us, and it worked out fine. Partnered with a friend of mine from Gordon Construction.
Okay.
It was a good project in the long run. So just. But we got out of that about probably 3 years ago.
Well, what I thought was really cool, though, is from what I was reading, it saved this synagogue, right? So it was like they were.
Well, yeah. So my friend Jeff Lair, he was running or helping to run the synagogue at the time, and I was very close friends with his brother. And yeah, it gave them money to stay afloat because they have, a very, the Jewish population in Edison has been dwindling since I was a kid. And so it just gave them, I forget, a couple $1 million, I think,
wow,
to keep going for a while. And then they ultimately sold the temple to Hackensack Meridian also. I think is now going to build a parking deck on that site.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize
and
that.
And then I think they went over to the JCC on Oak Tree Road. They expanded the JCC, and now I think Emmanuel runs out of there.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Now, and there's other stories coming up too where it's like, I thought I could give you a lot of respect because it's like, in this instance, you helped the temple and you helped them stay open. When you do projects, do you look at, how do I phrase this? Do you look at it solely from a business perspective and that what, you're going to make the most profit? Or do you try to do things like with the temple, Emmanuel, like where, we can help these people and we can help this place stay open and let's do this. And it's kind of a mutual benefit.
Well, that one just ended up being necessity for the temple, right?
Yeah.
But they wanted to deal, with me. You like to deal with people and they know we're going to do the right thing by them. I think that's been our reputation the whole way through is, never screwing anybody, just doing the right thing, whatever it is. It's not always about making the last dollar. We're not about the last dollar.
Right.
And certainly in Metuchen, we work, hand in hand with the town on every project to make sure, because we live here, I live here, Anthony lives here, and, we just want to make sure that everything comes out as a win-win. Good for us, financially, good for the town in the long run, good tenants, good people. We're not here for the last dollar, never have been, and just really try to, put good projects together and work with the town,
Yeah, that's in this research that's been the consistent theme. So it's for sure like always taking the moral high ground. I thought that was really awesome. And speaking of moral high grounds, something I need to do, and as a parent now, 2 young boys at home and 2 older stepdaughters, so hard to find time to do anything aside from work. You, however, were a coach, and you coached. This is extremely interesting. The head coach for the U14 Metuchen Rovers traveling soccer team, who won the U.S. Youth Soccer Association National President's Cup Championship. That's a mouthful. Sacramento, California, beating Georgia. That's when you can actually just say the state. That's a big accomplishment. It's not like, the New Brunswick Tigers or, that's pretty cool.
The Summer League spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. The Summer League spirit. Yeah. No, hey, no, I give the spirit, you had collegiate athletes. That's great. Do you remember this?
Yeah. I mean, I coached both my kids all the way through. I was a president of the soccer club for a couple of years here in Metuchen. Kind of default. I didn't want to do it, but they nominated me, and there I was. But the Rovers, we were very good from the time we were, very young. I mean, from U8, we were like this top team. We were lucky enough to have a kid from Edison. His dad had played at JP Stevens, younger than me. His uncle also played there, both excellent players, and he was, a phenom at a young age. Antonio Nigro.
Oh, okay.
Went on to play at NJIT.
Wow.
He had left us and gone to play for Red Bull as a kid, but he came back to us.
Wow.
And so he was, the top kid around when we were younger.
That's cool. Okay.
So he helped our team win a lot, and with that came more kids joining. And then as we kept going, you hit a certain age where kids either leave and go to PDA, which is the top club in New Jersey prior to Red Bull coming around, or their team might fold or something might happen. So we would beat Scotch Plains, we would beat Westfield, and then before you know it, their teams are going down in numbers, and our team, we need to add some kids. So we start adding kids. And
yes, because there were. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but there were a number of kids from Scotch Plains. Right?
That was the big merger. Yeah, the big
yeah,
merger
that's
was
really
with Scotch
cool.
Plains. We had a kid here from U8 from Scotch Plains, and I think he might have left us to go play with his friends in Scotch Plains at a certain age. And then I think we keep beating them 7-0, 8-0. So. but they ended up having some really good players. And we just built this great program here with great families and great kids. And like I said, we got a kid from Old Bridge, and we got a kid from Manalapan, and just kids came in from as they saw our team play, they joined, and we just had a great time, just a great youth soccer experience for the kids, similar to what I had as a kid with Spencer as my coach and being on this top team in New Jersey, the Rovers.
That's so cool.
And it was just awesome. And they played all the way through. A bunch of kids played in college, and just still in touch with a bunch of the boys. Just great times, for them, and great times for us as well.
It's awesome. It was. You won 5 games in Manchester, New Hampshire. The state cup, the championship, was won in a last-minute double overtime victory. Do you by any chance remember who scored the game-winning goal?
I'm guessing it was Antonio, but it might have been Toby. We had a couple of real studs. So it Noah Miranda. I don't know.
Toby was the team's leading scorer, and he had 10 goals in the tournament, which is crazy. So it was from Noah Miranda, he gave it to Jake Longo. That name sounds really familiar.
So Jake ended up being the captain at Rutgers.
Wow.
4 years at Rutgers, Scotch Plains kid, just a phenomenal kid the whole way through. He was the captain. He actually scored the game winner in the national championship game as well.
Wow, double overtime.
Yeah, it's just bringing me it's emotional. I could see him running as he scored. It's just such good times. And I think when we went out there, we lost our first game, and it's like a double elimination, so we could have been out. And we played this team from Georgia, and I don't know where the birth certificates came from, but they weren't guys with beards at 14 and, like grown men, but somehow we were able to pull it out. It was an unbelievable time. And, I think celebration, I think we went to go to Olive Garden. They wouldn't let us in. So we ended up at Hooters with a bunch of 14-year-olds, different times. And those guys, they were all pretty happy.
We like the chicken wings.
It was just right across the street, and we needed to eat. So we ended up going there. I think that was maybe not even after the finals, because I think we went to In-N-Out Burger after the finals or something.
In-N-Out Burger, yeah, sure. If it's in Sacramento, they have them out there. Yeah.
But Jake was certainly, a great player, as was Toby. Toby played at U Chicago.
Wow.
And, Toby lived with us for a couple of years. He went to St. Joe's on a scholarship and played soccer there. And he just started his own clothing brand now, and he's doing very well. He's living in the city. And
wow. Yeah, that is all right. That's pretty good.
LanaBrand.co.
Yeah. What is it called?
LANA brand.co.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. There's they're sponsoring this. No, we don't. We don't make any money on this, Jeff. But if anyone's listening, check it out, because I'm sure it's good.
Yeah.
Dude, you're like anything you touch turns to gold, man. I love it.
I don't know about that. But,
and actually, so this is just to again, just putting a bow on this one. What was cool is you guys lost your first game to Indiana. and then you had to win 3 games in a row, win or go home scenario, and you guys just ran the table. That's crazy. That's a crazy scenario, man. That's awesome. Like, that's really, really cool. Also, this is something that kids could take a lesson from. You helped raise $16,000 in less than 4 weeks to make this trip happen. Shaking cans between practices.
Bagel pantry, baby. A lot of people bagel pantry. A good story to sell, and and because it just the diversity of our team and the different socioeconomic makeup, not everybody could afford to go.
Yeah.
So when we won the state cup, the question was, are we going to go to regionals? So we could all drive to regionals. That was fine. When we won regionals, we had a meeting in the parking lot after with the parents, and we're like, hey, this is like a once in a lifetime thing. We got to make this happen. And I mean, I can't, we went to a lot of parents helped out, some companies, that worked at, we just donations everywhere.
Yeah.
And we were able to make that happen, and it was just a fun time.
Dude, that's like cool. That's what I'm saying. Like,
don't forget about the girls. I don't know if you got the girls on there also, but the girls won a couple years later. They didn't win a national championship, but they won a state cup. Again, we had to merge with Scotch Plains and Westfield. We had a Lady Rovers team here in Metuchen, and we lost girls, and we just couldn't do it, and we ended up going over to Scotch Plains. And I coached that with the same assistant coach, not Vito. Vito is an assistant, and Mike Olam, who runs the sports center for me and has a training company, AP2T. Mike was also strength and conditioning coach for Rutgers women's soccer during some of their good years. Wow. And we took those girls from, I was an assistant coach there at first, and when I took them over, they were number 40. And we took them all the way to number 1 by their junior year.
Wow!
And I think that year they were playing a year up. I think, but again, just a great experience, great kids, great parents, and very hard to find that.
That is amazing. And I do apologize because I had said to you before this when I was looking through all the research. Your daughter was a phenom, and honestly, if we're talking about soccer, we should talk about her. Like, the coach, he was even commenting on her at one point after she left. Like, they were trying to find someone to replace her, and they couldn't do it, and it's like they hit some lean years. So I apologize. We definitely should mention.
I mean, Rory, a very good athlete. She was all-state basketball, state soccer. Ryan was all-state soccer during his senior year. But neither one went to play in college, so but they still play now for fun, and it was great times for them, and I think they had a lot of fun doing it, here in their hometown.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, and because of your kids, like I said, when I was doing the research, it was tough to find information. Not that it was tough to find information on you, but your kids would always come up, and I'd be like, "Oh wait, that's not Jeff. I got to keep looking." Like,
Rory actually was home for Christmas, and then her high school basketball coach said, "Hey, can you come to practice for a couple of days?" So she's been to practice the Friday and Sunday. Friday today,
that's cool.
Practicing with the girls just to kind of help out a bit and get them running, get them going in the right direction.
Yeah, heck yeah. And they just didn't no interest in college. They wanted to just enjoy it.
Rory went to Florida, had a great time. Ryan went to Monmouth, had an opportunity, said he wanted to do it, and that was that.
I get it.
They do what they want to do.
I'll be honest, a lot of college athletes that I know, it's a mixed bag, because it's a full-time job at that point. You're not just playing.
Yeah, most of our girls went D3. I think that's probably the better way to go.
Yeah.
They went to great schools. They went to Tufts and Gettysburg and Middlebury and like all these unbelievable schools.
Yeah.
And
Tufts,
the girl from Montclair got her master's while she was playing soccer. Like, they're just all these girls were just unbelievable. The boys not so much on the on the academic side, but the girls saw the academic side and knew that you can do everything. You can join a sorority. One girl did a semester at Oxford. I mean, I had killers, just killers in life, not just in soccer.
Dude, well, the boys, you got kids opening up their own clothesline. They're not exactly slouches.
No, engineers and bankers and all these other things. Wow. They're all. It's good to see everybody doing real well after soccer.
That is really cool. And what's interesting, so at the time when you have to put a lot of effort into this to make a team like this good, and I'd imagine you're looking at plays, and you can't just show up to get to that level. You have to put work in. At the same time, with you built Suburban Square on Central Ave that same year. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, working a day and practice every day from from 6 to 8. Boys, 2 nights, Tuesday, Thursday, girls Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. And it was good. Kept me fit, kept me going. I think I was still maybe playing at that time. I don't know how old I was. I might have still been playing a bit.
Yeah.
But
were you sleeping at all? Like
sleeping, I don't get along very well. Unfortunately, I'm trying to make friends with it, but even now in retirement, it's not coming along too well.
Is that right? How many hours a night?
5, 6.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
6.5 maybe. Yeah.
It's the mark of a lot of successful people, though, from what I've heard.
I don't know. I wish it wasn't a mark of my life.
Yeah, I'm with you. No, it's been although kids have helped cure my insomnia because they beat
just tire you out.
They
just tire you out.
Absolutely. And so that year, you also built the wine chateau. I didn't know you built that. That's really cool on Central Ave.
Yeah, Anthony and I. That was the first project we did together. It used to be Suburban Dodge.
Yes.
And it was closed down for years. I mean, to talk about where Metuchen is now to where it was then, imagine a closed down car dealer that sat for years with nobody having any interest in it.
No, it never,
Yeah. So, we came up with plans to, do a couple things there. And one was, Wine Chateau. We brought them on as a tenant, moved them to a bigger space. They were over on Durham Avenue. We brought them over, put them in 13,000 feet there. We converted that building to what you see now.
Yeah.
We built the building next door. We brought Lola's restaurant, which is where Maria's was, where the Durham Cafe was, if you go way back.
Yes.
Yeah,
sure,
they were over there as a Bracci. I don't know if they were Lola there. And then they rebranded as Lola here, a couple apartments. And then we weren't sure what we were going to do on another tract. And, after working with the town for a while, we built, I think it was really the start of the apartments here, 3-story building. And we weren't sure how it was going to go. Rents were much lower back then.
Sure, yeah.
But, we got it up, we got it going. And like I said, we ran that for a few years. But between that and Greenway Village, it just was a lot of management. And we decided to sell those 2 buildings and move into some other stuff.
Okay, yeah. No, because right now it's the Suburban Square. They specialize in low-income housing options for people. And so, again, going back to, it seems to be...
So
like
just to clarify, they don't specialize. There are low-income units there,
Oh.
as there are in every apartment development in town. It's a requirement to put 15%, and now I believe Metuchen has it at 20%. It's a state requirement to put 15%.
Oh.
So it has them, but it doesn't. It's not all low income or not all affordable housing.
I did not realize. Okay, so
Yeah.
I that was a mistake.
So if anybody's looking here and they start calling Suburban Square saying I need an apartment, but qualifying for those, it's a lot of paperwork and very hard. I mean, we had rented the entire building, and it took us an extra 7-8 months to get the affordables done. And not that there weren't people that needed them,
Yeah.
but the paperwork that you have to do and the documentation you have to show, not through us, but through a third party,
Right.
is just torturous. And I think many people just don't follow through enough to get it done, and they just can't get in. It's crazy. It's terrible.
Do they, if they can't be rented, if, like you said, there's a lot of, like, do they go to other people? Like, will they just
So
say,
there's
okay,
a list. Everybody signs up on the list. You put your name in, and it's hundreds of people. And I think at the time, I can't remember what year it was, but this is how old it was. We had to run radio commercials on WCTC to advertise affordable apartments for rent, and we had to put things in the paper. And I think we were the first ones to sign on it, like create this whole program. And then bigger projects came in, and everybody uses the same guy to go through this program to get people. But it's run through the state. You have to qualify, and there's different income levels for different things.
Right.
And, but like I said, it's just very hard for people. I mean, back then, many people didn't have computers, so to get copies of things, and it was a different time. But for them to get qualified, and then but then they would come. They get a guy come all the way through, and he's like, "No swimming pool." We're like, you're paying $500 for a $1,500 apartment.
Where's the gym?
Sorry, there's no pool. But it would be crazy. We would see things like this, and we're like, well, we'll wait for the next guy, I guess, that can live without a pool. But we honestly had these conversations.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I looked at you had mentioned it already. You built the Greenway Village apartments next to the TD Bank, which very cool. And you said, when did you sell those to get away from those?
I'm going to say we sold that in the apartments, not Wine Chateau and Lola's, but the apartment side of Suburban Square. We sold those together. I want to say it's probably 5 to 7 years ago.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. So right pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very, very cool. And then the strip mall on Lake Avenue, 2017, and this is really cool because it was. Do you remember this? This deal is so. It included like Fruitables, Natural Health, Trends Global, Sumiyaki Japan. Besides Fruitables, they're all doing really well, and I think also the
La Rosa and
DeVita.
La Rosa and DeVita. So. I remember it very well. Property was owned by a friend of mine, Ken McPherson, and it had just gotten run down. The tenants had left. So all those tenants we added.
Wow.
We did a complete renovation of the building. I can show you a picture, which won't make it to the podcast.
Yeah, but we'll show it up if you have one. Send it to me. Yeah.
I'll show it to you. It was quite possibly the worst property in town at that time.
Yeah. Oh.
And we did a nice job. Like I said, we worked with the town to come up with a good idea of how we could save the existing structure, keep La Rosa open the entire time, and just make it something that looked nice compared to what it looked like when we bought it. And we were able to do that project, and it's done pretty well for us, and it certainly looks a lot better in the center of town.
Yeah, for sure. And going back, it's the owners of La Rosa, James King. Oh, James King was the chief.
Yeah,
I think,
ex-chief.
Jim.
Yep, and his family owns La Rosa for years and years.
Yeah, no, very cool.
His wife's family, actually.
Yeah, what's that?
His wife's family.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, no, that's I love La Rosa, but they have been saying like for 10 years it was really in need of development. And it was actually in the article. I don't know if it was them or not, but yeah, exactly what you just said. Run down and an eyesore, and to go with everything Metuchen was doing at the time. I was reading an article. It said on Main Street, every fifth storefront was vacant. So they were like out of business. And like the whole town was kind of on the ropes from what it said.
Yeah. It's funny because as we go to do new projects and, people don't remember what was going on here 10 or 15 years ago. Everybody just says, oh, thriving downtown and, all these things, and people are here and people coming from out of town. It wasn't always like that. And, I kind of miss being able to find a parking spot anywhere I wanted on Main Street, but it's certainly better this way. And, the planners, Jim Constantine and Chris Cosenza have done a great job in this town with a vision for this town of what it should be and what it could be. And, we follow their lead on a lot of these things to bring to life, and activate these areas and make it, bring things that people want here. You see the restaurants are here now. You don't have to drive to New Brunswick to get a good restaurant anymore. Yeah. A lot of good stuff has come here, and people don't always love change.
Yeah.
But I've been here since, I guess, 91. I moved to Electric Street with a bunch of my friends. We built a house there. But before that, I grew up, like I said, on Mulberry, right off Park. Got my clothes at Morris Stores. Went to Metuchen Center. Went to Metuchen Center for my sports stuff.
Wow.
Played my soccer at Franklin School. All of it. So I've been here for the entire time.
You just gave us a number of topics for the next couple of episodes. Yeah. Morris Stores. Yeah.
Food shopping with my mom at Food Town.
Yes, sure.
The big ramp going up.
You used to ride down the cart.
The cart going down. Exactly.
Wow.
So,
oh my gosh. Yeah. That's bringing it back, man. So that's really interesting. So, and again, going back to kind of like what we were saying with like you in this instance with helping build up Metuchen, you kind of like, again, I know you're running a business, but it seems you had an interest in just helping the town. Like, you wanted to help the town and business at the same time. And would you say that's accurate? Where you're like, I really...
Well, I mean, it was opportunity for us, but it's like I said, it always has to be a win for the town.
Yes.
We always look at the tenants, we look at whatever's going on, and if it doesn't fit, we don't do it.
Right.
And that's the bottom line, right? We're not going to bring in something that the town doesn't want, especially, with Dawn Mackey, who runs the MDA now. She's been phenomenal for the town. For helping us get tenants, for everybody on Main Street, bringing in Dukes, bringing all, not just for us, for everybody. And coming from Westfield, she came from Westfield, which is a beautiful downtown, And, I think that we've come just a long way, and, we continue to work on things to bring more good things to town, hopefully in the future. With my kids, like I said, I'm kind of retired now. Anthony and I are kind of taking it easier. His son is building, my son is building. And so, just getting, things, we brought yestercades in. Fresh Twist just came in. Pottery just came in. We're bringing in another.
Wait, you brought in Yestercade?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you
Dawn,
so much.
Dawn brought us Yestercades, but Dawn brought Yestercades. But that's our building.
Wow,
and,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Talk about research. I guess I dropped the ball on that.
It's all good. It's all good.
That is awesome. Wow, my son loves that. But so I have a love-hate because it's a good reward, but it also every time we drive past it, it's like I want to go, and it's makes for some long nights, Jeff. It's kind of tough. You hosted, or I'm sorry, you sponsored that same year. So I'm going 2017. You sponsored the New Year's Eve event in Metuchen Town Plaza.
I think we just put a donation towards it. I think.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, we don't sponsor.
So you aren't setting up fireworks.
No. I think we just, again, Anthony and I both live here, so anything that's good for the town is good for us. It's good for everybody. It's good for the businesses. It's good for everything. So anytime that we can get behind that, or the Metuchen lights, all the lights you see on Main Street that they do every year, whatever we can do to help, we're always happy to support.
The Metuchen lights here?
We're just involved in. No, believe me, Jonathan does a great job with that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much it costs, but they get all outside money, and we're just a small contributor to that as well.
Wow. So there you go. Man, you're involved in everything, man. Very, very cool.
Just try to keep this town, it helps us, so we try to help them.
Yeah, no, and doing a great job, man.
It's a great place to live.
It really is.
And to raise kids.
Yes, for sure, which is why I can't leave, and I've been here 100 years, so,
You and I both.
It's, I went to Edison for a minute, and I was like, it's not the same, so I'm back. So again, going to restoration and just different things. So I wanted to talk really quick about especially building around here, like historic sites and historic houses. And so there was one in particular in 2020. Do you remember this by chance? It was on 26 Washington Place. Do you remember this?
Yeah, Jimmy Ruger's house. Yeah,
yes. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it was, sorry, no, that was not my fault. Middlesex Avenue. So it's 443 Middlesex Avenue. It was a 124-year-old historic home. It was built in 1896. Home to Nathan Robbins, who built Robbins Hall, which is a big thing in Metuchen years back. Descendants of Robbins lived there until the 1970s, and it was sold to Dr. Peter Fries. Fries, I think it's pronounced.
Fries, yeah.
Fries, yeah. Do you remember that? So it was basically scheduled for demolition, and you and your partner were gonna build. I think it was a 5-bedroom home in its place. Do you remember this deal?
So I know about it, but I actually stepped out of that project because
you did? Okay.
It was too controversial, and I didn't want to be a part of it.
Okay.
So Dr. Fries had his office in there. The house had been converted to a 4-family, and then his doctor's office on the first floor. And it just was getting jammed up in the town, and I didn't want to be involved in it. Anthony stayed with it, and he ended up finding a buyer who restored the house.
Okay.
So that house still remains. And again, this is us, but it's Anthony on this particular one, working with the town to get a win-win. They didn't want the house down, so he kept the house. And, might he have made more money the other way? Most likely.
Right.
But, just working with the town. And that house was renovated beautifully by the people that bought it. And
That's awesome.
So that remains. And Anthony Jr. built 2 houses on the other side on Highland. And, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, Nancy Zerby and Peter Materna bought it, apparently. So I was just looking at that. And now I didn't realize Aros was Anthony. So, yeah, they built 2 single-family homes, and it avoided the total demolition. They restored it, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. What is your take on? Has this ever come up in other instances where it's like you have a historic site, or you have like a building that has historic value, and you're like, man, we really want to build ABC, but XYZ's here, and we're gonna get pushed back. Has this happened?
So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of that. There was one on Rose Street recently. They built a beautiful house there. Whoever bought it restored it beautifully. I mean, unbelievable job. They bought it for themselves. They moved into it. It's not somebody that bought it and sold it. But, the house was over 100 years old. So I don't know if there are none or maybe one or two historic homes in all of Metuchen that are on the historic registry. There really are not a lot.
Right.
So they really can't stop you from knocking down if you wanted to knock down. But that was one of these instances where I said, look, this could get knocked down. This could be 2 lots. You could build 2 houses here. And after speaking to people in town, they're like, look, we'd really like to save the house. I said, then that's fine. Go save the house. Let somebody else do it. We're not going to do it. It's not, and whoever bought that house did an unbelievable job on it. So, yeah, it's nice to see, that stuff, happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, that it is really cool. And it speaks to your character where you're not just like, bulldoze in and let's do this. Like, you actually talk with the people.
Even where I live now, this house, when we bought this property, there was a big house here that faced Clive Street. And so we initially bought it, and I subdivided my lot off the backyard. And I told the town, look, I'm going to try and sell this house, but talk about a different Metuchen, right? So a big house, older, really small rooms, but, pretty sizable house for the time. And I think I was trying to sell it for $600 or $650, and no interest from anybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
And then, so then I finally said, look, I've been sitting here on the market for like 6, 7, 8 months, and I haven't had one offer.
Yeah.
I said, so I'm going to knock this down, and I'm going to build the 2 houses you see on Clive Street now,
Yeah,
which are 2 beautiful houses that fit in nicely with the neighborhood.
Right.
And, I mean, they were conforming lots, so the town couldn't stop me.
Right.
And all of Oak Hills came out against me.
Oh, man.
So that wasn't a fun night. Only one guy stood up for me, and he lives across the street still. And
what was their issue? Just
no one wanted to lose an older house.
Yeah.
But the house, it was not really salvageable. It was just so cut up, such small rooms. And, I think, we're on, now second generation in both houses here. Houses are 20-something years old. You never knew that they weren't here. And
yeah, sure.
Obviously, if this were now, that house would have got snatched up in a second. But we're talking about, again, half the stores on Main Street were vacant.
Yeah.
The car dealer was vacant. There was no Whole Foods. There was no food town. There was no, everything was closed down, and things were different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and that's almost something I also wanted to ask you with, like, in I don't know anything about construction or building. So, like, when you have like a historic house, and sometimes and you get the property, it is easier just to bulldoze it than to renovate a lot of times?
We don't do renovations. We've never done a renovation. Maybe one, I think, besides my mom's bathroom.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was forced into that one. We're just, builders of new construction. Some of the commercial jobs, La Rosa and Wine Chateau, those were renovations of commercial things, but not renovators of houses. So if we can't knock it down and build new, it hasn't been for us.
Okay.
That's been just a career decision.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know, like, but do you have any dealings with, and this is just kind of thinking over my head, so I see like Fox and Fox right now is really like popular and stuff. Do you have any dealings with them at all, or?
I know them. I mean, we're in the same business. They build a lot of houses. They've been very successful.
Yeah,
but
no, very cool.
we're not. We're just in the same business.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. So moving ahead to 2021, Sherman Williams. The old home of Sherman Williams. Did you had a project there?
Yeah, that's where King Fitness is now on Pearl Street.
Yes.
So
okay.
that was Sherman Williams. So we had bought that from the lawyer Fitzhenry.
Okay.
Was the lawyer, and he had retired, and we ended up buying that building and just repurposing it and bringing in Evnia Hair Salon, OM Pharmacy, and King Fitness are over there now.
Yeah.
So. Again, another place that if you looked at it, 6-7 years ago, kind of looking a little better now. So
infinitely better, as you could say, for all of your endeavors. It's come across really good. I thought one thing was interesting, and I won't get into specifics, but kind of what you were saying with the pool. where the guy's like, well, there's no pool here. So in that particular project, they were complaining. They were like, well, the one complaint was like, well, we need more spots for electric vehicles. What are they doing? And like, so I guess, do you find that is a consistent thing that like no matter what you do, no matter, someone's always going to find something to be like, hey, like
I mean, the state now mandates that you have to put in, if you're building apartments, whatever you might be doing. Like we got an approval in Greenbrook, and I think we had to put in 4 chargers now. It's 92 apartments. You had to put 4 chargers in now and have the ability to add another 8 over X number of years. But now all of a sudden with Trump, there's been a flip on electric cars. So I don't know where that's all going to go.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty much every project, somebody's like, well, why don't you put solar? And when you look at the solar, since they took away the credits and everything else, it kind of doesn't pan out. So, we do what we can where it's not overly costly. We're not, Google, who could say, oh, we're going to build green roofs and we don't care what cost is because we have enough money. So it's a concern for us, but, using LED lighting and high efficiency appliances, things like that we can do, that we could just, eat the extra cost. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it depends on what it is. But, so some stuff is mandated. Some stuff we just do because we think it's right.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So again, like your career has been super interesting, and you said you're semi-retired now, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm done building. My son Ryan's 27 now, so he's got his own company.
What's his company's name?
He started this job in Highland Park. I think he 238 Cleveland LLC. He builds under Suburban as well.
Oh, he does. Okay.
Yeah. But he's on house probably 12 or 13 at this point.
Wow.
And he and Anthony own the where Metuchen Dance is downtown, and they took the upstairs, which is vacant offices, and put a couple apartments up there. And
they own the Metuchen Dance Studio.
Yeah.
Oh, my stepdaughter dances there. Yeah, she does like.
So they bought that about 2 years ago, and so just kind of help him tutor. I say I'm retired, but still management of the properties we own and those things is. I don't know if it's quite a full-time job, but gives me a couple hours a day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, you're not the type that, for anyone that knows Jeff, he's not the type that's going to sit around and just do nothing. And so I don't see that happening. So, no, your retirement would look very different than most people's, I would imagine. I know you're a big traveler, and one of the coolest stories, I think you were going to Italy. Where's it? And I'm asking you about what you're going to see, and you're like, I just looked up where the closest track is so I could do workouts. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, my wife has to deal with that. Yeah, we found a track in Mykonos. We found, we went to Athens, and I went into the Olympic Stadium and paid $10 and ran around the Olympic Stadium track. And pretty much everywhere we go, we ran around the Coliseum, she and I. And
you got to run in the Coliseum?
No, just around it.
So
that is
so cool.
Pretty much everywhere we go, we find a place to run, and it's a cool way to see, things. I mean, we went and did the tours as well, but everywhere we go, we try to catch a run somewhere. So it's
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Dude, one last thing I wanted to ask you, and it's kind of a weird question. If you don't feel comfortable with it, just don't answer it, and we'll edit it out. But you've obviously been very successful, and I've always been curious to people, like to ask them, someone who's made it financially, who's done well. Do you feel money can buy happiness? Do you feel like once you get to a certain level, you're like, yeah, everything's perfect? Because it's sometimes when you're looking at it at the other end, you're like, oh, if I only had X amount, I'd be the top dog. And like, what's your take on that?
Well, being a top dog has never been a thought of mine, right? So, first of all, I don't know how much I've made it, but thank you.
But you've done okay.
Yeah, we've done all right. I don't know. I just think what I tell my kids is start working hard when you're young. Because that way, when you can finish up when you're younger, on the younger side, and have the ability to do things. Obviously, having a couple bucks and being able to take the trips that we take or whatever we do, being able to spend time with our family, skiing together,
that's
or,
awesome.
Being with my kids, that kind of stuff. That's really, what it's about. I think we've been very fortunate, and I think I might have told you this, that, being here is just a stroke of luck being in Metuchen. If I had grown up in, and I hope nobody takes this as a disparaging remark towards like a South River or a Milltown.
My family's from South River and Milltown. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying that, our town has grown into, what I think is a very special place. And I think, a highly regarded place in central New Jersey that a lot of people are fond of, would like to live here. And I just happen to have the dumb luck of living here, growing up here, having the knowledge of the area and saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to build here, Metuchen, Edison, Westfield, Scotch Plains, whatever it might be. And all these towns have just gotten better and better, where if I went to a place where, and don't get me wrong, South River's gotten better, they've gotten better, but they don't have the main street we have. And part of it was the train station, which I never thought about as a kid. It's just kind of, like I said, I just didn't, I built where I was. Right. And that was just kind of, dumb luck.
Yeah. Well, you say that though, but it's like you get into the, if you were born in, if you lived in a Milltown, if you lived in a South River, no offense, they're beautiful places, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. No, but they are.
No,
nice.
they are. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I get it.
I just use, I've said not to you, but to my wife and other people that I just don't think, I just got lucky that Metuchen, we were a part of the renaissance of Metuchen by taking these things and having visions and moving along, with the car dealer or, Woodstack or whatever it might have been. But, I just lucky to be in the right place at the right time.
Well, then kind of what you just said, but it's almost like if like Michael Jordan's like, oh, thank God I was drafted by the Bulls. Otherwise, I don't know what would happen. You were kind of like that Michael Jordan. Like, I feel like wherever you were, you were going to make the place better. And you've done it here. And dude, you've made my life better because, you knew me a few years back and they weren't the happiest of times. And people like you leading the way with your work ethic and, for all of us from the town, for me, for the, the inspiration. Thank you, brother.
Well, it's really cool. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you very much.
It's been a lot of fun.
This was really great. Thank you very much. And absolutely. Jeff Josell, guys. And we'll be back another episode shortly. Not as much of a hiatus this time, I promise. So, thanks for listening, everybody. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, Jeff.